Chapter 5. What had started as a day of speculation suddenly became a day of shock, fright, and uncertainty for Spike. Recently, Apple Bloom went to the Ponyville hospital with her older sister, Applejack, to make sure that her mating process with Spike proved to be negative, in which they highly believed to be true due to Apple Bloom's being a pony and Spike being a dragon. And never in a question in history had a pony and dragon ever able to conceive a youngling. Unfortunately, to Spike's horror, they were proven wrong when Apple Bloom test came back positive. All of his stress came out at once, and almost the entire town heard the sudden scream of his shock when he wasn't upset about the fact that he's got Apple Bloom pregnant and that they were going to be parents. But more like he was scared because he didn't feel like he was ready for the responsibility. Apple Bloom was a bit shocked and nervous herself, but she was actually kind of excited and was curious of how this would turn out. While Spike was finishing his freak out, Applejack sent word out to Twilight. When she heard, she hurried right over with no hesitation. When she got there and went into the office room where they were. She noticed how Spike was sitting in a chair, still slightly shaking, with Apple Bloom standing right beside him. "Thanks, Celestia, you're here." "Thanks, Celestia, you're here," said Applejack. "Maybe you and Spike out of this funk he's having." Twilight looked around the room and noticed that no nurse was in sight. Where's Miss Rhyme? I heard that she was working with you guys." Suddenly, Nurse Redheart came into the room behind her, hearing that Twilight said, and replied, "She did, but she had business with other patients, so I'm here to usurp in her place." In the middle of a shaking, Spike happened to look up slightly and saw Twilight standing a few feet away from him. He gasped and jumped up and slightly ran and fell into Twilight's hooves and yelled, "Twilight, please tell me I'm dreaming. Please tell me I'm dreaming. I fell asleep at a tree and haven't woke up." Twilight sighed and placed her hoof on Spike's head and said, "Sorry, Spike, you're not dreaming." Spike sat up on his legs and placed his claws over his face, feeling slightly grieved at his situation. "Damn it! I can't believe this is happening." "Neither can I," said Twilight. "It feels a bit ironic that we were just talking about the possibility of this happening yesterday, and that it was very unlikely. Now, of all of a sudden, it's actually happening. So, I suddenly not as thrilled about it as I was yesterday." Applejack and Redheart were feeling a bit awkward, along with Twilight, who just came into the scene. However, Apple Bloom was starting to feel a bit bad about herself, seeing Spike break down like this because of what she got into him. She slowly went over to him with her head down and tried to speak to him. "Spike, you're not upset about this whole thing, are you? After all, it's kind of my fault that y'all made it with me in the first place." Spike then uncovered his face and looked over Apple Bloom as she was confessing to him. I couldn't just resist my urges and let you walk right out of the barn doors. Then I could have secured myself for the rest of the day and then continue my week without any worries. But now, thanks to me, this happened, and there's no way to take it back. But let's not talk about that. But anyway, I'm sure you weren't planning for something like this, so I'm sorry if you hate me for this. Then I'll completely understand." "What? No!" shouted Spike as he broke out of his freak out. "Why would you even think that? I would hate you for this. Maybe because when you found out you're screaming out the top of your lungs so loud that almost the entire town of Ponyville heard you. Well, yeah, but forget that. Maybe it was sort of your fault to begin with, but we both already agreed that it was both of our faults. Either one of us could have done something to prevent this, but I guess we didn't think that this would be even possible. Spike then lifted Applebee's head up with his claws and looked into her eyes, and she claimed, I guess I kind of overdid it with my freakout, but that was just stress and sudden realization of reality talking. I may not be ready to be a father yet, but I already promised your brother and sister that no matter what the outcome could be, I will be there for you no matter what. And as a fellow dragon, I won't break that promise. With a single tear going down her face, Applebloom smiled and said, Really? Thanks a lot, Spike. Then she proceeds to wrap her hooves around Spike to hug him tight, and Spike hugged her back, smiling as well. Twilight almost felt like crying herself, seeing that a heartfelt scene in front of her, and Applejack couldn't help but suddenly smile herself. It seems to her that Spike was really willing to stay in this. So anyway, said Applebloom, as she suddenly looked up at Spike. What should we name our soon-to-be bottle of joy? I was thinking upon the lines of maybe Apple Spice or Flare or Flame Core or even Applebloom II. Spike angered his brow and started kind of running the sweat moment here. Oops, sorry, Applebloom. Maybe we can worry about that later. After that moment, Twilight went over to Spike, feeling that he better now, and asked him, So, are you really done freaking out now, Spike? Well, I'm a bit nervous, and I'm still freaking out just a tiny bit on the inside, but other than that, I'm perfectly fine now. Good, said Twilight with a smile. Now that you've gotten over your freakout, I can finally feel great to say that this is the most wondrous moment of my life. Spike suddenly glared at Twilight, and she chuckled nervously and said, and you too. Most wondrous moment in your life too. Are you still going about whether the baby is going to be mostly a pony or a dragon? Applejack questioned. Hey, I haven't the right to be excited. This will be a wonderful discovery for a pony like me. After suddenly through the observation papers, Nurse Redheart walked over to them and said, Well, right now it's a bit too early to determine if this new life is a boy or a girl, or if it's more pony than dragon, or the other way around. I'll be reschedule mother appointment for Applebloom 2 weeks from today to see if we can figure out what we're working with. 2 weeks, whined Applebloom. That's kind of sucks. I want to see what I'm having now. No rush. The distant process of birth, Applebloom, said Applejack. Suddenly, a random thought came to Twilight. You know, this has crossed my mind since yesterday. Do you have any idea of how calm and relaxed though we would have been right now if I simply waited to deliver that message to Applejack myself? Applejack rolled her eyes and smiled sarcastically to Twilight. Gee, yeah, don't say. Since this will be my first offspring of a pony and a dragon, said Redheart, we'll be keeping a close eye on it once we know what is developing. You're in for a long 10 through 11 months, Applebloom. Applebloom never understood why it always took so long for some pony to give birth, but in their situation, it's probably what a good thing. Well, I guess that leaves plenty of time to calm down for this, right, Spike? Doesn't make this moment any difference, but thanks to Lisa anyway, said Spike with relief. Any other advice y'all want to presently give to the new lovely couple? Said Applejack to Redheart. Nothing much, but while I'm thinking about it, there is a bit of high chance that this newborn is part dragon, meaning that it's cold-blooded. Then she looked at Applebloom. So it will be important to keep that belly of yours nice and warm. Applebloom looked down at her rubbed on her belly, feeling troubled. Well, that will be kind of hard to do on really cold days. Exactly why I suggest using this. Nurse went to the corner and pulled out a wool-like band that could fit around any pony middle body. It's just a little sweater like sleeves to wear around your torso on cold days. This can't help whatever is going to deliver in your warm. Applebloom carefully slid it on, getting it nice and snug and feeling its warm. It does feel nice and cozy. I'll take it, thanks. Well, this has been an interesting turn of events in Twilight. Looks like we have a long task at hand. Just wait till Celestia hears about this. She'll be introduced, but I'll make sure to do whatever I can to help out with this. That's all I can ask, said Applejack. Spike felt the moment of his stress was gone for now, and he just sat himself down in a nearby chair to relax a bit and take a breather. Applebloom then came over to where he was and gave him another peck on a high cheek to cheer him up. So, do you feel better now, Spike? I'm technically the one who should ask you that, said Spike. You're the one who is going to eventually give birth. Well, yeah, but I'm actually okay with it. I know I got us into this, but we can always make the moment of it. I can't wait to shock the other Crusaders with the news. Don't forget you're still grounded today and tomorrow, AB said. Applejack while slightly glaring at her excited sisters. And during that time, you can relax and help with small things on the farm and think about what you've done for yourself and Spike into. For yourself and Spike into. Applebloom groaned inside as she responded, I know, sis, I understood. With that, said Applejack and her sister were getting ready to walk out the office room, but then Spike quickly stood up and asked, Hey, think I can tag with you two for a little bit? Sure thing, Spike, said Applejack with a smirk. And while you're at it, you can tell Big Mac the big news. As Spike followed them from behind, he groaned out a slightly regret of suggesting it. Oh, goody. Once they went out, it was only Twilight and Nurse Redheart left in the office room. Twilight just wouldn't help but wonder how things would turn out from this moment. Think Applebloom will do this? She asked Redheart. I guess. We'll see in about 2 weeks. We're expecting this to be a normal birth, but considering the two partners, we'll keep checking on just to be on the safe side. But you have to admit that this is still a bit exciting, right? It's something that we're never experienced, but yeah, it is. That's how it went down after what happened with Applebloom and Spike. In the end, they were both very proud of what they did, but they both agreed to take care fully responsibility once back at the farm. Spike told Big Mac what the outcome was and was almost afraid for his life, but he had nothing to worry about. because he was quite proud of him. He wasn't running away from his fate placed on his shoulders, even though he was still probably very nervous about it. But he chose to stay regardless and take on his new challenge with Apple Bloom, and said that was all he wished from Spike. Because if Spike chose to run away, then Big Mac would have probably killed him. Even Twilight friends eventually found out, thanks to certain pink pony who likes to get the scoop of things. They all had different expressions of shock. Eventually, Fluttershy, who didn't think this sort of things would have happened. Different other ponies ended up finding out what has coming to their. There were others who were still in the dark about it, including Apple Bloom's friends, Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo. But after Apple Bloom 2 days of grounding from her big sister, she was able to fill in everything to them of what happened to her during their heat session. They found out that she was the only one of all of them to get laid, and they were all quite surprised, but not as surprised as they were when they found out who did it and who did it with. It was a bit chilly that day, and Spike had forgotten about a certain accessory that he should be wearing, and Spike knew what day it volunteered to take back, only to walk into the crochet discussion. It was then that Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo found out that not only was Spike the one who knocked up their friend, but that she was actually pregnant. They could have believed that this sparked a huge interest in their bonds. Apple Bloom told them everything, and Spike had to endure the two other fillies giggling, hearing everything that happened, and only got more awkward for him from there. OMG, Apple Bloom, said Scootaloo. I can't believe that you actually had sex with a dragon, and with Spike no less. That's so awesome. I can't believe that you even had the guts to do it, said Sweetie Belle shockingly. You must be very lucky. Apple Bloom was still laying down with her head held high and smirked. Well, yeah, I guess I am. Hello, said Spike, waving his hand. Teenage dragon about to become a father over here. I wouldn't say that I'm lucky. Oh, don't listen to him, girls, Apple Bloom stated. He knows that he is very lucky and that he's looking forward to being a daddy after all. I didn't hear him complain when he was making lovely music together. Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo were chuckling again, seeing Spike's embarrassed face from Apple Bloom's sensual talk. He groaned and got to speak for himself. Okay, you two hear the truth. One, I protested many times at the beginning. Two, I doubt either of us would think it straight during that moment to complain about anything. And third, while I agreed to be on board with this, I hardly find myself to be lucky. Scootaloo came beside Spike and gave him a little nudge on the side of her forehead and told him, "We get it, Spike. You're a bit nervous, but there's no shame in that. I know I'll be nervous if I were you. But you should still feel happy. But you should be happy of welcoming a new form of life into the world," said Sweetie Belle. "This is definitely worth being proud of about Elise." Spike sighed and sat back down and looked back over to Apple Bloom, who told him to look so calm and content, laying there without any worries at all. He knew that he had to stay calm for his sake and hers. "You're right, Sweetie Belle. I will feel proud, and I will be happy for Apple Bloom when she does give birth. but it doesn't exactly help you three cooling it about it. Speaking of which, said Scootaloo, do you two know if it's a boy or a girl yet? Not yet, Applebloom responded. We should know in about 2 weeks, though it does suck, but I guess you can't rush birth development. Another bright smile came into Scootaloo's face, feeling ecstatic about the two situation. This is all so exciting that you're being pregnant and going to give birth to a fool. Now, for some reason, I invented you that Rumble didn't get me pregnant, so I could have a fool of my own. We'll feel sorry for you, said Spike sarcastically. But now that I know that Applebloom's siblings aren't going to kill me, I guess I can relax knowing that the worst is over. That was until Sweetie Belle thought about something. But what about the mood swings? The what? Questioned Applebloom. The mood swings. You know, the different emotional changes that pregnant mares go through during development. They experience happiness and sadness and humor and worry, scary, and they even experience anger. Usually toward one who got her pregnant in the first place. I don't know why this happened, but maybe it's not as bad as it sounds. Hearing what mood swings were, he then remembered reading something about what from the library. Some of his nerves returned to him as he said, "Oh, that's just great. Guess I spoke too soon." "But I'm sure it's no big deal," said Applebloom. "I won't get mad at Spike. Why would I?" "I don't know," said Sweetie Belle, "but I'm just telling you what I heard." Suddenly, Scoo looked up in the clubhouse at the clock tower, slightly panicked. "Whoa, look at the time. I gotta go. I promised Rainbow Dash I will babysit her tortoise." And then she smiled and winkled at Spike, saying, "Good luck with your day, you guys." And then she flew off. After Scootaloo left, Sweetie was slowly heading toward the door as well. She looked back at Spike and Applebloom and told him, "Well, I guess I'll leave you two to be with each other. See you later, Applebloom." "You too, Sweetie," said Applebloom with a smile. Now Spike and Applebloom were the only ones left in the clubhouse. They were just sitting there in each other's company, be silent and something awkwardly smiling at each other, wondering what to say next. "So, mood swings, huh?" said Spike suddenly. "You're going through that almost sounds too scary to even think about it." Alvin came up beside Spike and gave him a little cheek kiss that made him blush a bit. And then she slowly told him, "Well, don't let that make you feel discouraged. Even if I do have mood swings, I'm sure that you can handle it." Spike was truly hopeful that besides the time of birth, he would have gone through anything more stressful. He slightly, as he threw to himself, "I just hope she's right." Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And I'm so sick of the same town with the same place and these same faces, like always. Bye.